Hope you guys like the video. If you like the video, then make sure, like it and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.
Hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Hope you guys like the video. If you like the video, then make sure, like it and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very pleased to welcome His Highness Sheikh Mohammed and also His Highness Sheikh Hamdan to be here with us at this opening plenary. Actually, Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai, will inaugurate this Global Agenda Summit on behalf of the government of Dubai. And I have to just repeat that without the outstanding support of the government of Dubai, this summit would not be possible. I see this partnership in this endeavor to rethink, redesign, and rebuild the world with the kind of governance that is at the level of our aspirations as yet another proof of the foresight of Dubai's leadership. You, the members of the Global Agenda Council, have now spent your first day of work on proposals to help us rethink this world's global cooperation, and it is a privilege for me at this stage to introduce His Highness Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai. Sheikh Hamdan is, despite his young age, Chairman of the Executive Council of Dubai, the highest government authority in the Emirate. His responsibilities include overseeing development of laws and policies in the Emirate, as well as monitoring the performance of the government. He is considered the main driver of implementing Dubai Strategy 2015, which lays the roadmap for the Emirates' future development. But he is also an accomplished horse rider. His Highness Sheikh Hamdan has won several awards at local and international endurance races. But even more so, he is also a renowned poet in his region. So, I'm also very proud to say that His Highness is also a young global leader of the World Economic Forum. So I would like to invite you, Your Highness, Sheikh Hamdan, to join me here and please address the audience for the opening. Thank you very much. Welcome, Sheikh Hamdan, Crown Prince of Dubai.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سيدي صاحب السمو الشيخ محمد بن راشد
His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister, Ruler of Dubai,
السيدات والسادة,
distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the second session of the Summit on the Global Agenda organized by the Government of Dubai in cooperation with the World Economic Forum. We thank God that this session is being convened in an environment better than that of the first session when the international financial crisis was at its peak. The world now is more optimistic about recovery and about advancing economic growth. The positive indications in the international economy are on the rise, and emerging economies are recovering strong growth rates. As for the UAE, we are on the road of a recovery and distinguish ourselves. Our economy is humming again this year, and compared to the most international growth rates, the UAE is showing a healthy economic resurgence. Lately, we have worked on developing our institutions in light of the new developments. We have also worked on developing our infrastructure and creating the future. We have completed great projects, and we are still working within our strategic plan, especially in tourism, air transport, land transport, and railways, as well as renewed resources and atomic energy for peaceful uses. Ladies and gentlemen, if individual international and collective international efforts have been able to limit the financial crisis, the crisis itself created an opportunity to review our actions and to assess the efforts that are needed to tackle this crisis. The crisis has also shown the dangers of marginalizing government's role in supervision of markets. The undermining of international financial institutions was another danger. Also, the failure of a small group of industrialized states to adequately manage the global economy and not taking into consideration growing economies like China, India, Brazil, and the GCC countries. After the crisis, there was an increase in international cooperation. We have seen the G7 states broaden into the G20, and the G20 have met 3 times within 1 year. We also have seen positive signs concerning the upcoming environmental summit, and we hope that this will lead to binding agreements at the Copenhagen summit next month. We noticed new inclinations on the part of major powers that emphasize peaceful efforts rather than threats and conflicts, dialogue rather than estrangement. I fully realize that we do not live in a world fully shaped by ideas, and I know that international cooperation requires a new international order. This is not easy, but we cannot neglect or ignore the reality forever. Ladies and gentlemen, I am confident that it will not take a long time for the global economy to recover. We cannot go to the back. The power hubs will continue changing. There will always be conflict of interest, and we will always have a resurgence of ideas. How can the international community manage this complex and changing situation? How can it solve these problems and avoid any future crises? This question is asked to everyone here, and I am sure that you are capable of answering this question and provide a new vision of a world where people, countries, and cultures coexist peacefully and equally, and where we work together on realizing our hopes, facing challenges, and overcoming. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Sheikh Hamdan. I think we have now officially opened this second annual meeting, this second Global Agenda Summit, and I would thank again you, Your Excellency Sheikh Mohammed, for the great support, and I wish us all a good continuation and many important outcomes of this summit. So thank you very much to everyone. Thank you.
Your Highness, very nice to meet you. Thank you very much indeed for seeing us.
Welcome to Dubai. This is my grandfather's house, where my father and mother and us lived here. No electricity at that time when I was born. Only these lights, you see.
Oh, the lanterns.
Lamp things. And no water. And this is also my grandfather. And that's my grandfather. Zimbabwe.
Yes.
Lovely country.
Did you have people just knocking on the door and saying, I've got a problem with my house,
Yeah.
you know, can you help me?
Yes, but they don't knock on the door. The ruler will be sitting here.
So what, the ruler would just sit outside waiting?
Yes, by that one, and his people will be here. So anybody coming to see the ruler will sit next to him and say.
And say that I need to have this done or I need to have that done?
Yeah. And John, you know, I remember as a child trying to climb this, I couldn't. So yeah, and this is my playground.
And so you're going to drive me out into the desert now?
Yeah, and I am not very good driver. No, very good driver, don't worry.
Your Highness, I just want to ask you, because we're going past the fabulous skyline
Yeah.
that it is Dubai. I just kind of, was that a vision? Did you have a feeling that when you were a child growing up that one day, you know, Dubai would look like this, it would be cosmopolitan, it would be all these things?
I will tell you, John. You know, I was lucky enough. I traveled with my father to Europe, England, and always my dream saying, roads, they have roads and they have building and, you know, flags. And to me, that was my dream. Will we have that here, you know? When this is my childhood. Between the Emirates, there was no road.
And if the people are unhappy, how do you know? How do they tell you that they're unhappy?
They will tell me. They tell me, you know, and...
But is there a formal...
For example,
Yeah.
this telephone, in the last, from 10 years ago to now, I haven't changed it. And everybody knows. You know, the whole country knows my number.
Ordinary people, Emirati, knows your phone number and will ring you up.
Yeah, I have two numbers. One is private and one for the public. And Reem knows this. Yeah.
So do you like Twitter?
Yeah.
2.4 million followers, I see.
Ah, yes. Because I like, you know, to tell them what's happening and not to listen, to wait for them to say, you know. Just tell him what's happening and they are good about it. They follow you and why I'm doing this and, you know, so people can understand.
Your Highness, you've just won Expo 2020. When we drove out here, we saw all the cranes busy building. Is Dubai back?
Well, we are very happy that we won the Expo 2020 and 116 countries voted for us, and this is, to me, is a great, all these countries to believe in UAE and Dubai. That's the message I got. But now we have to do something to make it even better for these people who voted for us and to make Expo an excellent Expo.
I mean, it was only 5-6 years ago that people were saying Dubai was finished. There was an economic crisis.
And yes, I mean, some papers said that, but it is our mistake. We did not answer. We did not say anything. But when the crisis, I was, you know, it's a challenge and I know we'll overcome it. So therefore, I was happy with my life going on, and people say, why, how is he? Because I know Dubai is not finished and Dubai is back because it is Dubai and UAE.
But there must have been a moment where you thought this is really scary.
No, I think this is a challenge, and I don't get scared from challenges. You know, we face challenges and try to sort them out.
So is the problem over? Are all the debts paid off?
Yeah, the other day in the news, the palm company is going to pay a year ahead. So everything is, settled.
Why do you think you made the? Why did you get into this mess? Why did the crisis come about? There must be things you've learnt about it.
Of course, we learn. We learn every day, from this. But it is not us. We are a part of this world, and this crisis, or I call it challenge, is hit the world. But we.
Do you not like the word crisis?
No, it's challenge, and we are in Arabian Peninsula. Every day is a challenge for us. Every day, we have to face, challenge for the water, challenge to something to eat, and every day challenge. So we take it as a challenge. When there is no challenge, everybody is a leader. Where is the difficulty or challenge, some will come through, and that's just test for us to know.
I mean, the latest indications are saying, some people are saying that property prices are rising very sharply again, rental prices are going up very, very fast. Are you not worried that another bubble is being inflated over Dubai that could burst again?
A bubble will fly and not burst, because we put a law now, you cannot raise the rent more than percentage. So that will help to stop everybody. I know Expo is coming and people will try to, but we put a law and committee that they don't raise the renting high.
Just as a matter of interest, the Arab Spring, did that turn out to be economic good news for Dubai? Because, investors who may have been putting their money into Syria or Egypt or Bahrain or Libya were thinking, I know, I'll put my money into Dubai instead.
I was asked this question when we had the government meeting, 30-country government meeting, and one lady asked me, did you benefit from the Arab Spring? And I was honest with her. At that time, the number was with me, yes, there is $30 billion came. But I told her, but remember, if the Arab Spring didn't happen, there will be 60 billion.
Did you see the Arab Spring coming?
Yes, and I said this when I visited, I spoke in the Gulf University in Bahrain in 2004. And I said to the leaders of the Arab, change or you will be changed. I said that your people will look away from you or try to do that. And because I don't know the future, but there is indication, so you can, feel that is coming. You cannot lie for your nation 40 years and you think they'll still believe you. With this quick communication now.
Well, let me ask you about some of the specifics about some of the countries. We've got Geneva 2 taking place later on this month, and I think that Dubai will be represented, and you will be there. Can President Assad stay in power?
Well, somebody asked me about Syria and this, and I said, Assad will take a long time. But, if you kill your people, you cannot stay. I hope there will be a solution peacefully that a new elected government will come.
So, because he has killed his people, he will go eventually?
Eventually he will go, yes.
And do you believe that you ought to be offering any support, whether financial or military, or are you, to the Free Syrian Army?
We are supporting the people of Syria who are in Jordan or Turkey or other. We are helping those. But the Free Army, you don't know, because there is some extremist, and you don't know how many group of people now in Syria. And as you hear that some groups are fighting each other.
So you don't want to do what Qatar has done or Saudi Arabia has done? And
no, our foreign policy is different than, We try to help and not to interfere.
It seems to me that the UAE, for all its wealth and its power, it takes very light steps on foreign policy. It doesn't want to show its muscle and its weight in the way that, we've discussed that Qatar does?
No, I mean, maybe Qatar have a reason or a vision, but here UAE, we don't, we like, the Emiratis, and the Emiratis is kind. We don't want to interfere with the other people. Their nation should say what they want, and we should always help and not interfere with other countries.
Here in the UAE, you have cracked down quite hard on political Islam. A number of people
Brotherhood.
on the Muslim Brotherhood.
Right.
Is Egypt now better off with General al-Sisi in charge than it was with Mohamed Morsi?
Much better, and I'll tell you why. I was asked by the CNN that won't you worried about the Islamic Brotherhood getting in Egypt and holding the government and everything? I said no. I am not worried about that. They will last only 1 year, and then, the people and the army will sort that out. So therefore, it's better for Egypt. This. What did they do when they came with Dr. Mercy? I mean, see what happened and see what happened now. I mean...
But isn't that democracy? The people spoke. The people elected Mohamed Morsi.
Why the people then got rid of him? They went to the streets and squares and said, come on, the army, sort it out. A lot of people went there and so. And we will see in the next election.
Do you think General al-Sisi will stand? He'll be the next president?
I hope he stay in the army and leave somebody elected for presidency, because I think he's important for him to be the head of the army. He's a strong man and a very good man for Egypt.
So better as head of army than head of state?
That's what I think.
Very interesting. Can I just ask you about, we heard about the death this weekend of Ariel Sharon, the former Israeli Prime Minister. John Kerry is making very strenuous efforts to bring peace between the Israelis and the Palestinians. Well, how do you see the prospects?
Well, between Israel and the Palestinians, one day they came very close to sign, but they didn't sign the peace process. If they had that and they signed the peace process, of course there will be a bomb here and rocket there, but everybody, the whole world will be against who doing this. And I promise you, Israel will benefit more than us, because we want to deal with Israel and this after the peace process. What we are asking is a country for the Palestinian. And we are, accepting Israel. But for the Palestinian, we cannot just say nothing, no country, no place to stay. So therefore, if we have signed the peace process, there will be some problem, difficulties, but on time, Israel will benefit more.
You said you'd like to be trading with Israel.
After the peace process, we'll do everything with Israel, They will trade with them and we welcome them and everything. But sign the peace process.
How close do you think they are?
Every time I think they are close, they go away. I think, you see, what happens is, if the peace process coming and there is a rocket go to Israel, which is not accurate, Israel go back and hit back. So action and reaction, always happen that way. But if we just be strong and sign the peace process, I think will be better for everybody.
Okay. And I just want to ask you about Iran. Progress has been made in these talks about giving access to Iran's nuclear facilities. Do you believe the time is now ripe to lift sanctions against Iran?
I think so, and give Iran a space. Really, you see, Iran is our neighbor, and we don't want any problem, and they didn't, have any problem. But if the peace, and they agree with the American, and the American agree and lift the sanction, everybody will benefit. We suffered from the sanction on Iran.
And yet they're your biggest trading partner, I think.
Yes, but when we suffered here, we try to open other doors for trading with other countries
Sure. So,
to praise them.
but just to be clear, Iran has done enough in your mind that the sanctions should be lifted.
I think so. If they allow the people to go and look at their nuclear weapon, and they are not making any nuclear, because if they nuclear is really dangerous for me also. But if they are not, it should be lifted slowly and firmly.
So you believe them when they say that their nuclear ambitions are purely for civilian nuclear power?
I heard it from them. I heard it always, and I think sometimes they're saying the truth. I don't think they want. Ahmed Najat, I saw him, and I asked him, "Are you building a nuclear weapon?" And he said, "Okay, Sheikh Mohammed, what will I do? And if I have a means of transporting this weapon to Israel, how many Palestinians I will kill? And the European and the American will finish my cities in Iran." So you think, he said, "I'm not crazy to go for that. The weapon is of the past."
I just want to talk a bit about Dubai and the criticisms that have been made of
Our information indicates that the DPRK is covertly supplying Russia's war in Ukraine with a significant number of artillery shells, while obfuscating the real destination of the arms shipments. North Korea is covertly supplying shells, artillery shells, to Russia, and that they are going to try to mask the shipment of those artillery shells by funneling them through third countries in the Middle East and North Africa. Our information indicates that the DPRK is covertly supplying Russia's war in Ukraine with a significant number of artillery shells, while obfuscating the real destination of the arms shipments. North Korea is covertly supplying shells, artillery shells, to Russia, and that they are going to try to mask the shipment of those artillery shells by funneling them through third countries in the Middle East and North Africa. Our information indicates that the DPRK is covertly supplying Russia's war in Ukraine with a significant number of artillery shells, while obfuscating the real destination of the arms shipments. North Korea is covertly supplying shells, artillery shells, to Russia, and that they are going to try to mask the shipment of those artillery shells by funneling them through third countries in the Middle East and North Africa.
Hey, yo, Philly and the tri-state area, are you ready for summer?
We are kicking off Memorial Day weekend with Summerfest 2018, and we are live at Penn's Landing for Sail Philadelphia.
And welcome back, everyone. I'm Yuki Washington, and the tall ships have arrived.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jessica Dean. Thrilled to be here with you on this Friday before Memorial Day. And so much of Philadelphia's maritime history is at the Navy Yard. Our David Spunt is there with a peek into what exactly goes on there, David.
Well, from the tall ships where you both are right now, I'm going to show you some decommissioned ships behind me. These are only about 50 years old, but believe it or not, they serve a purpose. They are still used to repair other ships in the current naval fleet, and that's just part of the Navy Yard. That's the history. So much more to expect with the coming future here at the Navy Yard. Take a look. Welcome to the Navy Yard. Tucked away off Broad Street behind the blue security gates, it's a place filled with history and hope. From the headquarters of companies like Urban Outfitters to this aircraft carrier, you'll find quite the mix here now, but let's...
How difficult is it to bring an aircraft carrier into port? Find out next as the USS Kitty Hawk pulls into the Philadelphia Navy Yard. And be watching later tonight for Sherlock Holmes at 11.
In 1961, the Kitty Hawk sailed downriver to become part of America's front line of defense. Now it's 27 years later, and she's coming back upriver. Only this time, she needs 13 tugs, 260 men, and 1.5 miles of line to help her make the trip.
When the Kitty Hawk was being built, this Navy Yard was in very good shape. Sun ship down the river was in good shape.
I have to differ with you, Charlie. My memory's a lot better. 1958 was a recession. Because I remember my father-in-law telling me how lucky I was to be still working at the shipyard. But I'll tell you something, it was family. If your father worked there, you worked there. If your uncle worked there, you worked there.
There was an awful lot of stories came out about the quality of the ship and what it was going to be, and here it is 27 years later in here.
To tell you the truth, I've been waiting for it to come in. Because, I'm getting close to retirement, and I swore I'd stick around until I'd seen it. Some of my work is still on that ship. When I went out a year ago, October, I went out to San Diego to do a ship check. Like I said, I was sheet metal work. I did a lot of stainless steel work. And in those days, if you were a half-decent mechanic, you marked your work. And I went into the galley with some of those stainless steel dressing jobs, and I could crawl around underneath, and I found my markings. A lot of the original equipment still aboard that ship.
out there in the water. Smaller ships catch the waves. This ship is like a Cadillac, just floats right through the water.
We totally gut the ship, strip her down to bare metal, take all major components out, all four main engines. She's virtually gutted. She'll be in dry dock for about 1.5 years, and then she'll come out and we'll put her into wet berth, which will actually be floating in the water. Her systems will start coming back up to speed. We'll be testing them, be putting the rest of the ship back together, and then she will leave in February '91. This carrier right here is going to bring a minimum of $750 million into the Delaware Valley. And a local economic group did a study about 5 years ago, and their estimate was that for every dollar spent here at the Naval Shipyard, it rolls over 5 times out there in the community and supports a minimum of 1.5 jobs out in the private sector.
I flew F-4s and F-14s off the deck of Kitty Hawk for many years and commanded a fighter squadron from Kitty Hawk. Captain F. Lee Tillotson. I'm the commanding officer of the Kitty Hawk. The Navy policy is that the captains of aircraft carriers are naval aviators. And I like to look back on it that when I was a young aviator launching off of the catapult on a black rainy night when you couldn't see the bow, and I knew I could look up at the bridge and that guy had done it 1,000 times. And I knew that for some reason he knew he was going to have a good weather when I came back to land, and it must be okay. The crew of an aircraft carrier is normally over 5,200 people. That consists of over 2,000 that are directly connected.
You'll find quite the mix here now, but let's head back to Philadelphia in October 1775.
There's 242 years of nonstop Navy presence in the city.
Commander Michael Voss is the officer in charge at the Navy Yard, and he says Philadelphia is ripe with naval history. This impressive statue behind Independence Hall honors Commodore John Barry, often called the father of the American Navy. During World War II, there were 40,000 naval personnel here at the Navy. History. This in 1975.
There's 242 years of nonstop Navy presence in the city.
Commander Michael Voss is the officer in charge at the Navy Yard, and he says Philadelphia is ripe with naval history. This impressive statue behind Independence Hall honors Commodore John Barry, often called the father of the American Navy. During World War II, there were 40,000 naval personnel here at the Navy Yard when it was an active naval base. Now there are between 12 and 15 naval officers, but these big ships keep them busy. All of the decommissioned ships on the East Coast eventually make their way here to use for spare parts for other ships around the world.
There's ships here that served in Vietnam. And there's ships that just came out of service a few years ago after 40 years of naval service.
In 1996, the Navy turned most of this land over to the city of Philadelphia. And a lot has changed.
Since, the Navy base closed, slowly and surely we've been opening up the gates and bringing people in and giving them a reason to come visit.
Not only visit, but work. This place has become a hub for businesses like Urban Outfitters and those delicious tasty cakes. Trevor Smith runs events at the Navy Yard and sees a bright future for this Philadelphia jewel.
The Navy Yard can only go up, and there's going to be an event here every day. There's something for everybody here. You can bring the family, ride your bike, teach your children how to ride a bike.
So much going on here at the Navy Yard. For so many years, people would pass the Navy Yard and not even able to come in because it was a closed naval base. Not the case anymore. The folks here want people to know the Navy Yard is open for business, is open for pleasure. Lots of fun and exciting events here at the Philadelphia Navy Yard. And
Ah, the sea.